Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a Q&A video. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kristi. So maybe like a month ago, I put out a question out on Instagram, on Facebook, on my channel, asking for questions so that I could do another Q&A video. So that is what I'm doing. A lot of you sent in questions. Some of you sent emails, some of you posted. So I have quite a few questions to answer. I did get a lot of questions that are weight related, and then I also got a lot of questions from some of you about YouTube. So honestly, I'm not sure if I'm gonna end up getting this all in one video. I may break it up into two videos. It just depends how long it is. So I'm gonna get started with the questions. There's a couple personal questions, just like about my personal family. So I think that I'll do those first, and then I'll move on to the rest of them, which are basically just weight loss and YouTube questions. So the very first question is one that I didn't answer in a previous video. A lot of you know that I had COVID-19, and the question is, how do you think you got COVID? I don't know. I have no clue. I'm not going to try and guess. I have been very careful. I have actually been doing a lot of, you see my grocery hauls. Before I had gotten COVID, I hadn't gone into the store since like March. I was doing grocery delivery. My husband and I were very careful. You know, we wore our masks in public. We were not in large groups. I was teleworking, but I was also working in the office. But I was, you know, we were social distancing, we were wearing masks. I really didn't come into close contact with a lot of big groups. So honestly, I have no idea. The only thing that I did do different is the week before I got sick, I had a doctor's appointment. But again, we social distanced. I think there were two people in the lobby when I went to the doctor, and we sat way far away from each other. So it may just have been that I touched something, touched my nose, touched my eyes. I mean, it's, you know, they say don't touch your face, but that is really hard to not touch your face. But I always had hand sanitizer with me in my purse, in my car. So I don't know. So my answer to that is I don't know. So the next question is another personal one, and this one is, where did you and your husband meet and how long have you been married? So my husband and I met in high school. I lived in the Rochester, New York area for most of my childhood, and then the summer before high school, we moved up north, right near Canada, in a small town called Messina, and that is where I met my husband. So we met the summer before 10th grade. So we started dating in 10th grade. We were 15 years old, and that was that. I'm 49. We're both 49. He'll be 50 in December, and we've been together ever since. So we've been together since we were 15, so going on 34 years. It was December 86 we started dating, and then we got married in May of 94. We actually had our son out of wedlock. Our son was born in December of 91. We got married in May of 94, and then our daughter was born in October of 96. The next one is, we see your daughter on your videos. You talk about your son. Is he ever in your videos? My son is in, I think, the Thanksgiving vlog from last year. My son, my daughter-in-law, and my grandson. So my son is the older of my two children. My husband and I have two children. Our son, Justin, is going to be 29 in December, and our daughter Caitlin is going to be 24 in October. Many of you know my daughter's story. Our son is a deputy sheriff in our county, so our kids kind of went two different directions. Our son, 4 days after high school, went into the military, and he was an EOD tech, which is basically he diffused bombs. He did a couple of tours in Afghanistan, and then he ended up getting out of the military and then went back over there as a civilian, which they actually get paid more that way. So then once he had his son, he realized that he really didn't want to be away from his son. So that's when he decided to go to the police academy, and now he is a deputy sheriff in our county. And he's been doing that now for, I think, about 3 years. The good thing is, him and my daughter are 5 years apart, but they were very, very close when they were younger. So when he left, my daughter was only 13 when he went off to be in the Army, and it really impacted my daughter a lot. We can't say that's the reason she went the direction she did, but it definitely impacted her because she felt like her brother, her best friend, abandoned her. But the good thing is, you all know, she's doing very well. She's been over a year clean from all drugs and alcohol, and her and my son have their relationship back, and it's really great to see. So he's not in my videos a lot. My daughter likes to be in the videos. My son is kind of like not so much. He's like, yeah, Ma, if you want me in the video, I'll be in it. But it's not like he wants to. My daughter, she loves it. She loves to say hi to y'all. The next question, I noticed you have your nose pierced, which I actually don't have it in today. How long have you had it, and do you have any tattoos? So I've had my nose pierced since way back before it was even a thing. Like when I first got it done, I think I was maybe 22, somewhere around 22, between 20 and 22. So we're talking way back a long time ago, like in the early 1990s. And it wasn't as popular then, it wasn't as accepted then as it is now, but I liked it. I always just wear a little tiny stud. And do you have any tattoos? I do have a tattoo. I have one tattoo on my lower back. It is roses and the Virgo sign. And I don't want to show you here because I always end up pulling my pants down too far when I'm showing people. So I'll just insert a picture right here to show you what my tattoo looks like. And it is a fairly big tattoo for my first tattoo. It's actually my first and only tattoo. I would love to get more, but right now that's just all I have. Okay, so I think that was it for the personal questions. If I miss one, I'll come back to it. There are several questions that are kind of the same. There was one question about what was my heaviest weight. There was a question about how much weight do I still have to lose? And then also a question, why did you start WW and what motivates you? So I'm gonna kind of put those all into one. So let me start with my highest weight is 240 pounds. My lowest weight being on Weight Watchers is 129. So back in 2003, I joined Weight Watchers because I needed to lose weight. I had, my kids, and I was just being really unhealthy. I was smoking at the time. Well, actually, I had quit smoking in January of 2003, and then I started Weight Watchers in March 2003. So 6 weeks after I quit smoking, I started Weight Watchers, and I had been smoking since I was like 17 years old. So I'd been smoking a long time. I had quit kind of cold turkey. I went on I forget what it was. It was called Wellbutrin. What it was going to do is take the cravings away. So I did go on that for 1 month before I quit smoking. Then I did the patch just for 2 weeks. So I did the patch. I actually cut them in half myself to cut them down. I don't know if you're supposed to do that. So I quit smoking, and then 6 weeks later I joined Weight Watchers, and I went to the meetings. I actually went to the meetings, and I never missed a meeting. I was so motivated after losing. I lost like 6 pounds, I think, my first week. When I weighed in that time, I was 222, which at that point was my heaviest. And then I was fierce. I lost. And from March until I think December, I had lost 75 pounds. So then I gained a little bit. We had gone on vacation for Christmas. I gained, I think, 10 pounds back over a 2-week period. Got right back on though when I got back, which I always say, and ended up, I got down to 129. According to the charts, I needed to be like under 128, and I got down to 129, and it was just really hard for me to stay there. So I talked to my doctor, and because I have a little bit more of a muscular build rather than like a really skinny build, she said that 135 was good for me for my goal weight. So that's what we made my goal weight, and I became a lifetime member. Then I thought I could stop, and I didn't have to go to the meetings anymore, and I could do it on my own. And I've mentioned this before in videos that I kind of was like on this race where I was just gonna get there, and I was gonna lose all my weight, and then that was gonna be the end of it. I was gonna, hit the home run. I got it. I'm there. I'm done. I don't have to do anymore. And that's not the case, because maintaining is really hard. It's hard to maintain. It's hard to figure out I think you allow yourself more wiggle room when you're maintaining than you do when you're losing. So I ended up gaining all my weight back. Went through some difficult times when my son went away and things we were going through with my daughter when she was a teenager, and so I kind of had to put myself on the back burner. I didn't have to. I chose to put myself on the back burner, as I think a lot of us women do, and I ended up gaining all my weight back. So when I rejoined January of 2019, I decided I was just gonna do online because where I live, it was kind of too far to drive. So my husband and I did online. And it was really weird because my husband joined with me and we didn't even realize he had gained a lot of weight. Like, he never had a weight problem. I've always had a weight problem. I mean, even before I joined Weight Watchers back in 2003, I went to what was called a diet workshop. Do any of you remember diet workshop from years and years ago? I was like 16 years old and I remember going to diet workshop with my grandmother. She was like the receptionist there and I used to help her set out the food and snacks and everything. And so I was 16 going there. Now granted, then I was like, I guess you would say chubby. I think I had 20 pounds to lose. So anyway, I've always had somewhat of a weight problem. My husband never really did until when we both started, and he weighed in at 230, which for him is a lot, and he just never weighed himself. He didn't realize, and I didn't realize he was getting bigger either. So now he's like 170. He's lost all his weight and he's been maintaining very well. For me, when we rejoined in January of 2019, I weighed in at 240. So that was my highest weight, was 240. And so again, all that weight I lost, I had gotten down to 129 and then gained it all back plus more. So that was very difficult. So that's pretty much why I started. I started because I was just not healthy again. I was I was starting to be pre-diabetic again. I was on 2 different blood pressure medications, which I have since come off of one. So it was just a lot going on and I knew that I needed to do something for health. So that is why I started WW. What motivates me, honestly, you guys, since starting my channel, you guys really motivate me. You know, I have my days just like everybody else, and then I'll just get a message from one of you and it's just like, I don't know. I write down my goals. I do a lot of visual rehearsing. I picture things in my mind. I tell myself positive things. I just know that I have to do this to be healthy. I have to do this every day of the rest of my life if I want to be healthy. Another question from the same person is, are you from Florida? I mentioned before that no, I'm actually not from Florida. My husband and I moved here with our kids when it was in 97. Our daughter was born in 96, in October of 96. We moved here in August of 97. So our daughter was 9 months old and our son was almost 5, I believe. The place that my husband was working at the time was closing and I was working at home at the time. And so we just decided to move to Florida. My father lived here, my brother lived here, and we made the move and we love it. We lived here. It was probably a good 5 years before we started calling it home. We were kind of pretty homesick for a little bit, but it was, looking back, it was a great decision. It was the best decision that we could have made for our family. Your house is goals. Thank you. Our house is goals for us too. We've only been in this house for about 3 years. My husband and I have always been the type, we do not come from a rich family or anybody that has left us anything. We've worked very hard our whole lives for everything that we have. I've mentioned in other stories, I mean, I remember days that I would be sewing. I do not sew, let's put it that way. I don't know how to sew, but I used to have to sew like our socks and underwear because we didn't have money to buy, you know, socks and underwear. And I remember days were eating bread and butter. I mean, things like that. Then, you know, this was before we had kids. This was like when we first started out. We were really poor. So we have worked very hard to make things good for ourselves. Would you ever do, the same person, would you ever do an Amazon favorites video? I think I've done something similar to that a long time ago. It was just kind of showing my favorite things that I use in the kitchen, like my favorite kitchen gadgets, which are mostly things that I order from Amazon. I'm assuming that you mean like things that I bought from Amazon that are favorites of mine. So put in the comments if I didn't understand that question right. But I'm open to doing any type of videos. Just if you have suggestions, then let me know. Did you eat fast food before, and what was your favorite treat before you started WW? So yes, I ate fast food all the time. My husband and I were talking about that when our kids were little, like we ate out a lot. And unfortunately, when you have a family of 4, it's cheaper sometimes to eat at McDonald's or someplace, you can get that dollar menu. We ate a lot of McDonald's when our kids were little. We ate a lot of Taco Bell. I would have to say my favorite fast food restaurant is Arby's. Just because I just love their sandwiches and I love their cheesy curly fries. Love those. My favorite treat before I started WW would probably be maybe ice cream. I always loved ice cream. Candy bars, like I remember having like a Snickers at night before I went to bed. I really miss Snickers. But I don't know about a favorite treat. I just loved all treats. I loved chips. I loved, snacks. What made you decide on the Blue plan? So I really didn't have to decide. When I first started in January 2019, they were doing the freestyle program where we all had the same points, and I was successful on freestyle. I know how to work my 0-point foods. I know that I can't overeat on 0-point foods, and so that's never really been an issue for me. So when they changed from freestyle and went to the blue, purple, and green plan, they had, I had to fill out a questionnaire and it suggested the blue plan for me, which was exactly the same as freestyle. And so I felt that that was the best plan for me. I think that the other plan that I would consider doing would be the purple plan. And the only reason is because I am doing this a lot more for health. This is just my take of it. If I'm doing it for health, I think the purple plan is the way to go. If I'm doing it just for health. If I'm doing it for a little bit of for health and some flexibility, I feel like personally for me, the blue plan is the way to go. If I want to be really flexible and fit in maybe some alcoholic drinks or go out to dinner and things like that, then I would go with the green plan. So when I did Weight Watchers years ago, back in 2003, 2004, my husband and I were going out on the weekends, going karaokeing and things like that, and we would have quite a few alcoholic drinks in a night. And so back then, I would if I was still doing it back then, I would probably do the green plan. But now I don't. I maybe have, a couple drinks here and there, but nothing like when we were going out. So now the blue plan works for me. So how many more pounds do you need to lose till your goal weight? I didn't mention that one. I don't really know, because for me to go back to that goal weight that I was at before was 135 pounds. And right now I'm still in the 190s. So the lowest I got this time was, I don't know, a couple months back I was 180. I think it was around the time I had COVID. I got to my lowest was like 184 or something. So I still have a ways to go. But I don't know if I'm gonna get down to 135 again. I really don't. I don't like to put a number there because I don't know what I'm gonna feel like. For me, I just want to be healthy. I want to be off medications, and I want my doctor to tell me that that is an okay weight for me. Okay, I had to get my little ring light because I feel like the lighting, we're losing the lighting. It's getting a little bit dark here, so that might be why. And also I ran out of space, so I had to change my card. How did you get your husband on board? Mine tried it for a week at the beginning of this month, and it didn't last. Makes me feel kind of alone on this journey sometimes. I completely understand, because now that my husband is in maintenance, he can make a lot different choices now than he did before. And we are such a great team when we do things together, and so that can kind of be bad because now like both of our worst times are our nighttime snacking. So you guys pretty much see what I eat as far as meal prep. I share with you my meal plan and I share with you what I'm having for the week. If I stuck to what I was sharing with you and what I was doing, then I would be fine. So mine is not my overeating of my meals. I do great. I stay on track with my meals. I don't overeat on, on what we're having. Mine is my snacking. Mine is my nighttime snacking. There's these ice cream cones that he gets that he has the points for. But I don't have points for a 13-point ice cream cone when I only get 23 points a day. Yes, I have my extras, but I usually use my extras on the weekend. So it's really difficult sometimes when he has things at night and I don't. But as far as how he got on board, he just was ready. When he realized that he weighed 230 pounds, he's 5'9", and he was starting to get pre-diabetic. So he wanted to do it with me. He was ready. He just wanted to lose maybe 30 pounds. So he did way more than that. He ended up losing 70 pounds. He actually got down to 165, but that was way too low for him. So he's back now to I think like around 174. But he was ready. He had to be ready. I didn't convince him. I told him I was going to do it, and did he want to do it with me? So I'm going to take a break here, and I may come back on another day, or I may come back today. But I'm going to take a break here and come back with some more answers. Okay, so I took a little break and now I'm back. So I think what I'm gonna do is I am probably going to do the YouTube questions on a separate video. I just feel like it would be better to do 2 separate videos on that. Some of them are general questions about, like how much time I spend on YouTube, working on it, things like that. But then there are also some questions that go into a little bit more depth on it. So, have you always meal prepped? So I have not always meal prepped. For the most part, I have meal planned, where I've planned out my meals for the week. But as far as meal prepping, I would say I started doing that maybe about 10 years ago. When my kids were younger, I really didn't cook. Like, I was not a good cook. We had a lot of boxed things, a lot of processed things. I really didn't start really kind of making meals and getting into cooking until I think it was probably after my son left home, because he always comments about the amazing food that I make now that he's not living at home anymore. So I didn't do it until I was older. So I've really only been cooking for, I would say, maybe like the last 15 years that I really started getting into cooking. And as far as meal prepping, I would say maybe 10 years, but I didn't do it the way that I do now. I actually started with freezer meals. So I did a bunch of freezer meals. There was a day that I had a day off from work and I did 50 freezer meals in one day. Had my freezer just jam-packed with everything. I still like doing freezer meals, but I don't like only doing freezer meals. I like to kind of make my meals more fresh, which is why when you see me do my dinner kits, I don't pre-make those, I just pre-package those, because I just like them to be a little bit more fresh. Some of these questions will kind of go together. So one person says, I want to meal prep, but I worry I will not want to eat what I prep all week. How do you stay motivated to not wander from those meals? So personally for me, I like to eat things more than once. You definitely don't have to do that though. You can say, like, let's just say that you're going to do chicken. Sorry, I got this hair I can see it out of the corner of my eye. Let's just say you're going to do chicken for lunch. You can do different things with that chicken. So you can, cook the chicken up, like make grilled chicken or something, and then just pair it with different things each day. Like put potatoes in one meal prep container, put rice in another. You can switch things up and do different things. You could do chicken fajitas. You can, just mix and match. Just personally for me, it's easier for me to just do 6 meals, 3 for me, 3 for my husband for breakfast and lunch. A lot of people see the big picture that I put and they think that I'm literally eating 6 days the same thing, and I'm not. I'm only having it 3 days. Usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is how I do it though. I don't mind having the same thing 2 or 3 days. Anything over that, I would probably get sick of it. I can only do like a repeat 3 days in a row. This journey is so slow for me, and I know slow is better because the healthy habits have a longer time to become part of my life. But what are some of your tricks to stay motivated for the long run? And I have shared this before. When I did Weight Watchers the first time around, I was motivated by seeing the end result, by seeing myself at the end and at my goal weight. And I just every day kept going with that. We used to have the little books. I'm sure they still give them, but they're basically the journals that they gave us in the meetings. It was basically our tracker. And I think the trackers ran for like a year. It was like a year tracker. And I used to buy those. I literally acted like that was a book. Like every night I would reread through things, just constantly mental rehearsing in my mind of what the week was gonna be like, how I was gonna do it. And I did that the whole time. This time around, I do things a little different because I don't want life to pass me by, and I want to be able to enjoy, like when we went to Daytona Beach, you know, not worrying about it. I wanted to have chicken Alfredo, and I had chicken Alfredo. So I enjoyed it. I was on vacation. I got it out of my system, and so now I can get back on track. So I think the way that I stay motivated now is just making sure that I keep my mind always thinking about things that I want to accomplish, making sure I'm visualizing myself being healthy, looking forward to the next doctor visit, you know, thinking about things like that and really rehearsing mentally about when I go to the doctor and what they're going to say. And it's just a matter of keeping in my mind that I want to be healthy. I want to do things with my grandson. I want to be able to run around with him. And the way that I was heading, there was no way I was running anywhere. So that is really how I just try and do some mental rehearsing and think, you know, picture myself long term. Do you ever get tired of weighing all your foods each day? Absolutely. I get tired of it sometimes, and I do find myself where there are many times that in the morning, even though my scale is right there by my coffee maker, I just put my creamer in. I don't even weigh it. I think I'm pretty good at eyeballing because I can eyeball the color of my coffee. But once I start doing things like that, if I do it with my creamer, then I start doing it with other things. So yes, I get tired of weighing sometimes, but it's just a small price to pay to make sure that I am staying on track. What do you do when you meal prep point-friendly meals, yet you just want to eat everything and anything else? I've been stuck in weight because I've been emotionally eating, and I've been working out hoping it will help me want to eat better. But all the great food deals around me make it so hard, especially when my family wants to do it together. So yes, that is hard. I think for me, you know, it's just my husband and I. So the bottom line is we eat whatever I say we're gonna eat. He does have a say, and in fact, that was one of the questions. Does Jody have any say in what you eat? And yes, he does. Basically, in the beginning of the week, I always will say, hey, is there anything special you want me making this week? Any type of meat that you want me to do something with, you know? And he'll say, oh, hey, we haven't had this in a while. Can you make this? Or, you know, he does have input. But going back to the original question, it's just the two of us, and so I don't have the people around me that are, you know, wanting different things, or as far as like food deals, I really don't fall into that. But when I do meal prep point-friendly meals and then I want to eat other things, that does happen, and I will bump a meal. So sometimes if I've meal prep Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and something comes up Monday that we decide, hey, you know, we're gonna go to lunch with the girls, that's okay. I'm gonna probably do that, and I will just try to make good choices, and then I will bump my meal prep stuff to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But as far as, you know, allowing myself to prep those meals and not eat them, I'm really big on food waste. So I definitely don't want to waste that food. So I will stay disciplined enough to make sure that I eat those meals throughout the week. Now, where I think I would probably be similar to you is for dinner. So for dinner, I don't necessarily meal prep. I do put my kits together, but the meat is frozen for the most part. So there are times where I just don't feel like having what I planned. And there's times where it's like, oh, I would just love to just order a pizza. And sometimes I do that. I try to only do it if I have the points to use, if I haven't used my extra points. But for the most part, I just try to stay as disciplined as I can. I always try and tell myself, look, if you want that, you can have it tomorrow, and wait one day. If you still want it tomorrow, go get it. But usually 9 times out of 10, the next day, I'm not gonna want it anymore. So that's kind of how I do that. It's similar to like impulse buying. I have to do that with myself because I want to impulse buy all the time. So what I usually do is tell myself, okay, you cannot buy it today. Hold off until tomorrow. If the impulse is still there and you still want it tomorrow, then you can purchase it tomorrow. So it's kind of the same with the food. I know you said in a previous video that you were 4'11 3/4, and that is also the same height that I am. Just curious, what has been your highest starting weight, and what goal weight did you get down to years ago when you made Lifetime? So I think that I already talked about that. My highest was 240, and my goal weight that I got down to years ago was 135. 129 is what I got down to, but then I had a doctor's note who allowed me to do 135, and that was still allowable because with Weight Watchers, if you're over the goal weight, you just have to have a doctor's note. So my Lifetime card that I have from Weight Watchers says my goal weight is 135. And then she says, many years ago when I made Lifetime, I was down to 109. I think this time around I would like to get to 120. I feel that is more suitable at my age now. And I absolutely agree that our age makes a difference. So you have to do what's comfortable for you. Again, I don't like the number on the scale because there's so much more involved in it. So you have to go with how you're feeling. You have to go with your health. Sorry, somebody's outside, so my bird is going crazy. My dogs are getting ready to bark. But you have to just make sure that it's about health and get with your doctor to find what that good weight is for you with your doctor. How do you manage sugar cravings? Stay away from sugar. I will say that whether it's artificial or regular, if I am eating a lot, or like say for example Diet Coke, that's a perfect example. I love water, and as long as I'm always drinking water, then I don't even crave a Diet Coke. But once I start drinking more than one Diet Coke a day, it replaces the water, and then I crave more, and that's when I start craving different sugar cravings. So as long as I'm just having my 4 Splendas in the morning with my coffee, and then I'm drinking water the rest of the day, usually the foods that I eat are not really full of sugar, so I don't really have that problem. But if I end up drinking Diet Coke, then I will tend to gravitate towards sugary things. So I guess my flat out answer is stay away from my Diet Coke. Being that this is not your first time on WW, not the first time for many of us either, LOL, do you feel that this time on WW is easier to manage, follow, or stay on point than previous years on the program? I'm just wondering if meal planning, prepping, tracking is different for you now, making it easier to track and maintain. It definitely is easier now. When I did WW the first time around, I wasn't meal planning. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was meal planning because I used to always pre-track. So the night before, I would track what I'm gonna eat the next day. It was a little bit easier then because my husband worked nights. So I wasn't influenced by things he was eating in the evening. But planning and the prepping and tracking, I always did that. Tracking to me is so important. If I don't track, I tend to overeat. So when I did it the first time around, I had, like I said, the written diary, journal, tracker, whatever it is, and I would pre-track the night before. I'd write down what I was gonna have the next day. So that definitely helped. I think I just learned more. I don't know that I'm actually working the program different now. I'm doing it different in my mind, and I'm just kind of taking it slow. To me, this time it's a lifelong journey, where before, like I said, I was just on a diet and I wanted to get to the end. Now I'm not looking at it as a diet. I'm looking at it as an up and down for the rest of my life journey. That's basically what it is. Besides wanting to get your steps in, what other activities do you enjoy for exercise or just fun? We already know you have tried your grandson's slip and slide on the hill in your yard, LOL. I have friends who are doing yoga, in-home walking videos, and even dancing videos. I was never a gym type person, but was very athletic in high school and college. So during this pandemic, it has been hard for me to not leave the house except for work. So some things that I love to do, I used to love lifting weights. I was lifting 3 to 4 times a week, probably about 5 years ago maybe, and then I ended up getting a hernia. It was a hernia that was way up high. It was from a surgery that I had for my gallbladder. It was like they did a laparoscopic for my gallbladder, so right where they put one of the ports, I guess. I had a hernia and my large intestine was kind of going through the hernia. So ever since then, I've been really afraid to get back to lifting. I'm just so afraid that was like some serious pain, and I did have hernia repair, so I've been good, but I'm just kind of afraid to lift weights. But I used to do Pilates. I loved that. Even when I was at my heaviest the first time around, it was, I think it was Denise Austin. I think it was her. It was called Pilates for Everybody. And I loved that one. That one was really good. So I would say Pilates and any type of like dance type video, and kickboxing. I had a video that was kickboxing and I really enjoyed that. Other than that, I enjoy walking. My husband and I had bikes. We used to ride bikes. I'm not comfortable on a bike right now just because I'm still heavy. And water sports, I love going out on the jet ski, which is huge exercise as far as I'm concerned for my arms. So any type of water sports like that, those are things that I like to do. But what am I actually doing right now? Just walking. Right now I'm just walking. What are some things you do to relax after work or a long week? Not sure if you actually relax or take time for yourself. Hopefully you do. I really don't, not that much. Besides the boat, now that we have a boat, my husband and I go out on the boat. I make sure that I fit in time, but I really just don't have a lot of time to relax. I try to make some time, but and I have been, like at nighttime when we go in the bedroom to watch TV, I've been trying to not bring my laptop in with me. I love to read. A lot of you know I love to read Amish books. That is very relaxing to me, but finding the time to do it is very, very hard. Very hard. It's kind of like I have 3 jobs. I work Monday through Friday on a full-time job. I have my at-home transcription business, and then YouTube and my social media has really become, I don't really call it a job because honestly that's the one that I love the most. That's the one that's a hobby for me, but it does take a lot of time. And the other 2 are the ones that pay the bills, so those are the ones that I'm forced to spend the majority of time in. Okay, so I think that's it for the weight related things and the personal questions. So I am going to save the rest of the questions for part 2. I'll do a part 2 video. So that's going to be it for this one. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for all your questions. If I missed any, I am so sorry. I made the horrible mistake of asking in too many different platforms. I asked on YouTube, I asked on Facebook, I asked on Instagram, and I was trying to go through and remember where I asked them all. If I missed your question, I apologize, and if I did, please put it down in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're new, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. So I'll see you in part 2 of this video, and if you're not interested in part 2, then thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. I'm Kristi, and I'm planning us healthy.